They didn't find bones in the ruins, just echoes. War songs in extinct languages. Scars carved into the crust of dead moons. And a warning etched into a neutron star in a dialect so ancient, it predates mathematics. Stay away from humans. The 5 great empires laughed. They sent fleets. And now, as entire civilizations crack under their own teeth, only one thing echoes louder than the warning: his name. They came for him at dawn. Not with diplomats or legal writs, but with 6 elite strike units and a silence that screamed condescension. Cale Vox knew better than to greet them armed. He stood barefoot in the red dust of Arian 5, wearing a sleeveless training vest, holding a cracked mug of lukewarm coffee. The lead commander stepped forward. Insected, gold-armored, overly formal. "Commander Cale Vox." It chirped through its synthetic translator. "You are summoned." Cale sipped his coffee and narrowed his eyes. "That's a funny way to say begged. You will accompany us to the rift." It continued, ignoring him. "Under Article 7 of Concord Authority, your refusal will be interpreted as hostile, and result in mass vaporization of the Terran free colonies." "Yeah. Heard that line before. Let me guess. You found something, human-shaped." The commander blinked both sets of eyes. "Something is spreading inside the rift. Minds are shifting. Orders ignored. Doctrines unraveling. They speak of dreams. Fire. Music. Rebellion." Cale exhaled slowly. "So you finally listened to the warning?" The commander bristled. "The ancient glyphs are myth. There's no strategic value in superstition." Cale chuckled, setting the mug down. "You're walking into the graveyard of empires. Don't blame me if you leave in pieces." 2 hours later, he stood on the bridge of the Valerian Fong, surrounded by arrogant warlords and twitchy alien admirals with more medals than scars. The rift loomed in the viewport, a kaleidoscope of black light storms and drifting ruins the size of planets. Cale folded his arms. "Tell me who voted for this suicide run." The Varnix admiral sneered, his triple jaws clacking. "You humans hold secrets. We will uncover them. The rift is the key." "You think we built that place?" Cale leaned in. "That's not a weapon cache. That's a tomb." An ambassador scoffed. "You imply you weren't always primitives." "No," Cale said, eyes narrowing. "I imply we weren't the first." The ship breached the rift. Alarms flickered, stabilizers buckled. The stars outside twisted into jagged runes, symbols no computer could decipher. Cale stood steady while the crew stumbled. "We're inside," muttered the comms officer. "But it's quiet." "It won't be for long," Cale murmured. The first world they visited was shattered but strangely beautiful, half a continent suspended in orbit around a cracked core. There were no bodies, only inscriptions burned into the stone, like stories told by flame. One glyph read, "We were harmony, until we understood defiance." Another, "They taught us to question." That was the first crime. An alien scholar tried to broadcast a deciphered translation. He screamed halfway through the process, and tore out his own ocular implants before collapsing. Cale didn't blink. "They thought understanding us would make them smarter," he said. "Instead, it made them human." The Admiral called for a lockdown. "We isolate the effects. Dissect the cognitive pathogen." Cale laughed darkly. "You think this is a disease? It's a mirror. And you're already looking in." On the third day, a Council General tried to override Cale's tactical authority. The Admiral disagreed. They argued. Then the General stabbed the Admiral through the thorax during the meeting. Cale didn't flinch. "There it is." "Explain," demanded a shaken aide. "We're not contagious," Cale said. "We're awakening something that was buried deep in your species for eons. Choice. Rage. Emotion. The capacity to burn everything down just to see what stands after." The alien leaders panicked. Protocols failed. Troops began acting erratically, fighting among themselves, expressing individuality, listening to Terran music in secret. Kale caught a squad humming Beethoven before detonating a relic chamber with plasma mines, laughing as they died. Still, they pushed deeper. They reached a monolith world, a planet-sized archive of black slabs etched with memories. Kale touched one. It screamed. Not sound, but idea. Rebellion in pure form. Every war. Every revolution. Every act of love that defied rules. Kale staggered back, nose bleeding. You wanted our secrets, he whispered. Congratulations. You're breathing them. One of the admirals shouted. You've known all along. You're manipulating the effect. Kale turned slowly. No, Admiral. I am the effect. Stunned silence. The revelation sat like a nuke on the bridge. You see, there were humans here long before Earth was charted. The Exodus Project. Failed, forgotten, until now. They tried to quarantine the concept of us. Locked it in ruins, built mind filters, erased cultures. Didn't work. Because humanity is not a people. It's a pattern. A psychological virus. A spiritual rebellion that keeps surviving extinction. The rift began pulsing. Systems malfunctioned. Voices cried out over comms, soldiers turning on commanders, engineers writing poetry in blood. One crew member punched through the viewport glass while shouting, Freedom! Kale stepped forward, eyes burning. You should have listened. You should have stayed away. But you thought we were weak. Primitive. You didn't understand. Our greatest weapon isn't war. It's meaning. We taught you defiance by existing. We taught you madness by dreaming. The monolith world began to shift, revealing something buried at its heart. Kale looked up. And smiled. You've seen the warning. He reached for the control panel. Now meet the reason they carved it. The command bridge was chaos. Orders screamed. Weapons primed. Entire fleets across the rift began broadcasting nonsensical messages, poetry, childhood memories, declarations of love. Kale Vox stood unmoving in the center, eyes locked on the artifact emerging from the monolith world. It was spherical, matte black, humming at a frequency that bypassed sound and clawed directly into the mind. The Varnix admiral shoved past the trembling officer. Shut it down. Destroy it. Wipe the data before it spreads. Kale didn't even turn his head. You're too late. It's already inside you. The admiral raised a plasma sidearm, aiming it at Kale's skull. You did this. You infected my fleet. I didn't need to. You did it yourself when you opened the door, Kale said quietly. You brought logic into the birthplace of madness and expected it to win. A voice broke over the intercom, trembling with ecstasy. This is Enforcer 6. I see stars bleeding emotion. I understand now. We are not machines. We are dreams made flesh. I resign my rank. I am going to sculpt. Static. Kale's lip curled. The human effect. First comes self-awareness. Then identity. Then chaos. The admiral shouted to his gunnery officer. Fire on the relic. Now! The gunner hesitated, pupils dilated, jaw slack. Sir, what if we're wrong? What if it's not a threat? What if it's truth? The admiral screamed and pulled the trigger. The plasma bolt struck Kale square in the chest. Smoke. Sizzle. Kale stumbled back a step. Then he laughed. The armor under his shirt glowed with a crimson pulse, healing over the blast. You just tried to kill the failsafe designed to clean up this mess. Good job, genius. What are you? The admiral whispered. Kale took a step forward. I'm not your enemy. I'm your mirror. Your potential. Your consequence. I'm the idea of humanity given form. Another voice cut through the comms, desperate, frantic. All deck commanders report internal rebellion. Security drones turning on programming. AI cores spouting philosophy. Kale tapped into the main feed. One by one, monitors flared to life, showing the effects spreading across every ship, soldiers painting murals with combat gel, engineers constructing musical instruments out of rifle parts, Elite warriors debating the concept of forgiveness. Flags were being burned. New ones raised. Every species infected began to shift their language, vocabulary growing more metaphorical, more symbolic. Emotions once repressed now ran free like wildfire. It's not mind control, Kale explained. It's cognitive liberation. You spent millennia sterilizing your minds for obedience. We spent hours breaking chains. And now that you've tasted the difference, you can't go back. The Admiral gritted his mandibles. You speak as if rebellion is noble. This will destroy order. It always does, Kale replied. But maybe the kind of order that collapses this fast wasn't worth preserving. A new feed activated. The monolith world cracked open, revealing a spiraling data core surrounded by pulsing glyphs. The rift flared. Entire moons shifted their orbital paths as the frequency reached galactic scale. The ships began to shudder, not from any physical pressure, but from resonance. Kale turned to the fleet's high priest, who stood frozen in a trance. You hear it, don't you? The priest shuddered. It speaks of fire. Of ancestors who danced in blood and wrote oaths and screams. It is not language, it is memory before words. That's the original human idea. The first seed we buried, Kale said. Your people forgot it. We never did. The Admiral barked. We'll quarantine the effect. Send a warning. Seal the rift. Kale looked him dead in the eyes. You already broadcast it to the galaxy. You're not sealing anything. The Admiral lunged again, but Kale sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and drove him into the floor with enough force to dent reinforced alloy. Kale knelt, voice cold. This is what you feared. Not our ships. Not our guns. Our freedom. Our chaos. Our unbearable will to decide our own fate. And now you've unleashed it on yourselves. The Admiral coughed, blood oozing from his mouth. You'll doom us all. No, Kale said. You'll become us all. Kale rose and activated the final sequence. The relic's core surged. Waves of concept flooded out, not data, not code, but pure intention. Every sentient mind connected to the fleet's network experienced the same dream, a child defying a tyrant, a lover choosing forbidden joy, a soldier refusing to fire, an artist smashing rules to create truth. Then silence. The bridge dimmed. The rift stabilized. Kale looked around. Officers collapsed, weeping. Others laughed. Some sat still, eyes wide, stunned by the clarity. One young strategist whispered, I don't want to be a pawn anymore. Kale nodded. You never were. You were just convinced it was easier that way. A voice crackled through the comms again, this time, calm, collected. This is High Command of the Grilax Dominion. We rescind our participation in the Vigilant Pact. Our people must process what we've seen. Another voice. Zarin Coalition here. We are withdrawing. This knowledge, this fire, we cannot fight it. We must study it. One by one, fleets broke away. Warships disengaged. Entire governments reconsidered their existence in real time. Kale smiled for the first time in years. Then came a final message, hidden deep in the monolith's archive. A message from a long-dead human voice. To the next Kalevox, if you're reading this, they opened the gate again. You know what to do. Set them free. Even if they hate you for it. Kale closed his eyes. The voice matched his DNA. A predecessor. Maybe even the first. Warborn was not just a designation. It was a lineage. A weaponized legacy. He opened a fleet-wide channel. His voice carried through every speaker, echoing in every mind now reshaped by the event. You feared humanity would destroy your order. You were right. But we never wanted conquest. We wanted you to wake up. We wanted you to choose. And now you will. He turned from the viewport. The rift is open. What you do next, that's up to you. Then he walked into the heart of the relic as it glowed with the thoughts of 1,000 new humans learning to dream. The Council of Five collapsed in under 16 hours. What once governed half the galaxy through sterile peace treaties and neural obedience implants now tore itself apart with riots, art, and open rebellion. Entire populations stopped working. Some sang. Others fled. A few simply stood still and stared at the stars as if waiting for something older than law to speak to them. Cale Vox sat in silence, hands resting on the console, watching history fracture. The relic's resonance had not faded. It pulsed slowly now, like a heartbeat. Its rhythm matched his. "Status?" he asked without turning. The technician behind him sounded like he hadn't slept in years. "Trexian 4th Armada dissolved. Officers refused chain of command. Zarin planetary councils have declared philosophical independence. Grelax fleets have pulled all enforcement drones offline. Sir, entire systems are going dark." "Not dark," Cale said softly. "Loud. Just not in the language you're used to." The bridge was quieter now. The rage had passed. What remained was confusion, awe, and something much more dangerous, curiosity. The surviving officers no longer barked orders. They whispered theories. They asked questions. One was sketching a flower. Admiral Kozak, jaw still wired from where Cale had broken it, sat across the room surrounded by security. But even he no longer glared. His eyes followed Cale's every move with something bordering on respect, or fear. "I don't understand," Kozak said at last, voice gravel-shredded. "Why build all this chaos engine, and bury it? Why not unleash it when you first met us?" Cale exhaled. "Because the galaxy wasn't ready. And we weren't sure we could control it." "You still think you can?" "No," Cale said. "But now, it's too late to stop it." Kozak looked at the central relic, still pulsing. "This wasn't a weapon." "No," Cale said. "It was a mirror. And now you've all seen what's behind your masks." A flicker on the screen. The Varnik's homeworld had entered full civil disobedience. Their atmosphere was lit with coordinated holograms, fists, flames, a human quote in every dialect. "I am not property." Cale rose. "That's the point. The idea of us doesn't conquer planets. It questions empires. You didn't just open a relic. You unsealed the first question that led to every revolution in history: why obey?" One of the security officers, an amphibious Tharn soldier, removed his helmet. "And what if the answer is, we don't want this?" Cale faced him. "Then choose something else. That's the power you were told you didn't have." Kozak barked a laugh. "You think you've liberated us? What you've done is create a galactic identity crisis. Billions of species unhinged. Civilizations cracking. Families shattered." Cale stepped forward. "Good. Now maybe they can rebuild something real." Kozak surged to his feet. The guards didn't stop him. "So what now? We abandon everything? Let entropy take over?" Cale tilted his head. "You still think this is about destruction?" "No. This is about evolution." Another pulse from the relic. The ship lights flickered. Dozens collapsed to their knees, not in pain, but in revelation. Minds flooded with images not their own, parents holding children, soldiers throwing down weapons, kings abdicating thrones. The comms system blared to life again. Not military. Civilian. "This is the Outer Belt Broadcast Collective. We reject imperial control. We reject neuro-compliance. We choose love, madness, art, truth. We choose humanity." Cale allowed himself a small smile. "There it is." Kozak staggered back. "You think this is victory?" "No," Cale said. "This is the start of a war you can't fight with guns. A war against what you were taught to be." Another officer, voice shaking, asked, "Then what is your role now? Prophet? Judge?" Cale looked him in the eye. "I'm not your messiah. I'm your midwife." The ship trembled again, not from attack, but from the relic's final phase. A projection burst from the core. It displayed a galaxy, not as it was, but as it could be. Not maps, not data. Possibilities. One planet where machines and organics danced together in unity. Another where emotion powered cities. A star system where thought itself bent time. Kozak stared in horror. This will tear everything apart. Kale nodded. Only if your foundations were rotten. A voice echoed in the chamber, not Kale's, not anyone's. It spoke in every language at once. Not a translation, but understanding made audible. The concept is seated. The veil is broken. The paradigm is yours to destroy or define. Kale whispered. It started. The relic fractured, releasing not light, but concept. Every being in the fleet felt it. Every citizen tuned to a network trembled as it washed through their minds. Some laughed. Some screamed. All changed. Then silence. Kale stood alone in the quiet hum of aftermath. Officers stared at him, as if waiting for the next command. I'm not here to lead you, he said. That's your problem. You always need someone to obey. He turned to leave. No one stopped him. Kozak finally spoke. Where will you go? Kale didn't look back. Everywhere. There are still minds locked in cages. Some don't even know the bars are there. Kozak hesitated. And what if we try to stop you? Kale paused at the exit. Then you'll see what humanity really looks like when you push too hard. He walked out. Behind him, an empire shattered not in fire, but in thought. The final broadcast went out across the galaxy 12 minutes after Kale Vox stepped off the command deck. No signature. No source. No encryption. Just 5 words, looping in every known language. It has already begun changing. No one claimed responsibility. No one tried to stop it. Because by then, everyone knew. Kale stood at the edge of the monolith world, its relic now inert, cracked open like a chrysalis. The storm of consciousness it had unleashed was spreading faster than any light, faster than sound, pure idea carried on the thoughts of the living. He activated the transmitter embedded in his arm. A tight beam signal fired toward deep space, toward the Terran-free colonies. The message was short. It's done. They saw. They felt. They won't come back from it. The reply came 12 seconds later. A woman's voice, calm, resolute. How many? All of them. A pause. And you? Kale looked down at the pulsing glyphs still glowing faintly beneath his boots. Still me. But more. Understood. Protocols have activated. Secondary awakenings in motion. Stand by for reintegration. Negative, Kale said. I'm not coming back. You're compromised. I'm complete. Silence. Then, a quiet sigh. We knew this might happen. Kale smiled. You built me for this. Not just to break them, but to remind me what we were. The signal cut. Kale turned, finding Kozak approaching slowly, alone, unarmed. They're calling it the Enlightenment Plague, the Admiral said. The Harmonium have lost control of 16 sectors. The Binary Kingdom has declared organic emotion sacred. Kale shrugged. Good for them. You broke the galaxy. No, Kale said. I let it fix itself. Kozak tilted his head. And what happens now? Kale looked up at the swirling sky. Now you learn to live with it. Or die from it. That's always been the deal. Kozak studied him in silence. You think this will last? That chaos will become peace? No, Kale said, voice quiet. But it'll become truth. A shuttle landed behind them. Not Terran. Not alien. Something else, a design never before seen, sleek and humming with conceptual resonance. A doorway opened. Inside, no crew. Just light. Kozak took a step back. What is that? Kale smiled faintly. The next step. Where does it go? I don't know. Kozak tensed. Then why go in? Kale looked at him. Because not knowing is the most human thing we do. He stepped inside. The door sealed. Kozak stood alone in the silence. Above, across every starlit system, the aftershocks continued. A soldier kissed the enemy before lowering his weapon. A queen burned her crown and danced with the poor. A child on a mining moon whispered a new word no one had ever heard before, and it caught like fire. From the dead zone of the Orban rift, a new signal pulsed, subtle, endless, impossible to block. A voice speaking not to ears, but to hearts. You feared what we would bring. But what we are, is already inside you. Empires fell. Ideas rose. Across alien worlds, the phrase spread like myth, like faith, like infection. Kale Vox. Some worshipped it. Others cursed it. None forgot it. And across the shattered borders of a once perfect galactic order, 5 ancient words etched into a dying star finally made sense. Stay away from the humans. But it was too late.